Hello everyone, this is Plankera, and welcome to my universe. Today, I'm going to continue rigging Shalom from Path to Nowhere. So, yesterday I got started on the lower left turn here, or more accurately, I got started on the hair. I had finished up the face and got that pretty much looking the way I want it. So now it's time to go dive back into hair. Of course it is. Anyway, one thing that I was looking at my downward turn again, and I think that I'm sending the bangs a bit too far down. Gonna go ahead and turn off my shadows again. Hello, Vivi, and yes, it is time for even more hair. It will always be time for hair. Well, how are you doing today? I noticed that when I was looking at my downward turn here, then I felt like the hair, or the bangs here, were a little bit too long in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and make them a little bit shorter. Oh yeah, there's tons of dots on this layer. It's a very, very detailed mesh. This is why it always takes me so long to do the bangs. And where I tend to start. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now I just have to make it look good. This is indeed why the bangs take the longest. It's like, it is one of my more detailed meshes. It is the area front and center, right between her eyes. It's a very important little area, so I like to try to get it looking really good. And thus, I spend a bit of extra time on it, making sure that everything is just the way I want it to be. Swallowed some water funny right before stream, which is a bit unfortunate, so my throat is still panicking a little. Need to clear my throat again, one moment. Alright, there we go. That feels better. I feel like I can actually talk. So before I go back to doing the lower left turn here, I'm gonna go fix up the bangs on the downward turn. But I do think that length is a bit better here. Before they were definitely a bit long. I see what I was going for. It definitely made her look very ominous, and I kind of liked it. But when I saw how that it was making it look over here in the lower left, I was like, okay, it is perhaps a little bit too long. I didn't accidentally, hair bang front. Just want to make sure that I didn't accidentally set this anywhere. Okay, good. So that is pure interpolation. Well, yes, when I saw how low it was getting on this side, I was like, okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. Let's try to keep it a little bit more reasonable. Okay. And also, if you want to see a lot of dots, this is what it looks like when I select all of the hair. It's like, there's a lot of dots. That's why it takes so long to edit it. There's a lot to it. Yep. Trying to grow into an old lady. An old lady made of dots. As you can see, some of them I did make more detailed than others, especially out in the front here. As we get closer to the edge, there's less and less. But in the front, there's a ton. There are so many. But each of those dots is kind of what allows me to manipulate the texture underneath, so when there's more dots, it means I have more fine control, but it also means it's kind of a pain to work with. So there's a balance to be struck. I don't think I quite struck it in the bangs. I think the bangs maybe has too many dots. And then there's some out in the outer edge where I don't think I gave them quite enough dots. I'm going to go ahead and go into floating face mode for a second, just so I can see the hair a little bit more clearly. And get all that into the right place. So, right now, there's no head. She's just a floating face. But it's okay. Lets me see everything that I need to see. And she can just stare into your soul while I very carefully adjust all these little tips here. Okay, I think it's all coming together. As always, adjusting the tips of the bangs tends to take a little while here. It is perhaps a little bit unfortunate that I have to do it again here, but it's for the best. I really did think that I put them down a little bit too far there. They were getting a little long. So something kind of fun happened when I woke up this morning. Somebody actually took me up on my offer to take requests for my weekly speed paints. So I'm gonna be drawing a girl from a game I am not at all familiar with next week for my weekly speed paint. So that'll be fun. I wasn't actually sure if anybody would ask me to draw something. Shoot, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's some Japan-only game. The person was talking to me on Pixiv, so... I guess I can check real quick. Let me find the message. Let me see. Void Gerda from Grimm's Echoes. I am not at all familiar with it. Hello, Yeti-Kitty. How are you doing today? Oh yes, I do not know very much about mobile games in general. I don't play very many. I'm doing pretty well today, thank you. Just trapped in the eternal cycle of hair. But it's okay. I've got 2 more corners to do. Just 2 more. And then no more hair forever. Until the next model. Right now, what I'm trying to do is, I guess there's like 3 separate areas of bangs that I see. There's the one on this part here, where it starts from the edge and goes up to this dark area right here. And then the second one is on the other edge. It goes around here to this dark area. And then the third one is in the center. Right now I'm looking at the one in the center. I'm trying to get the width of the center one to be consistent with the width that it is in the front view. So this way it's not growing, shrinking, or anything like that. I'm also trying to get the very tips of the hair to follow that kind of same pattern. Where they are neither growing nor shrinking. And they just are both the length that they need to be and that the textures on them move the same amount as the tips themselves. So this way it doesn't look like they're getting compressed or anything like that. So that's why sometimes, even though I said that, I made the bangs too long. You see, occasionally, I do make them a little bit longer. It's less about making them longer and more about just making it so that they don't feel compressed. And then, of course, I just need to make sure that I have them at roughly the same angle that they are in the front. As you can see here, the angle of this bang, it's pretty straight. It goes like straight down from here and then just tapers off at the end. There's this big straight spot right here. And so I'm trying to get that same angle right over here. For that, I think I actually want her head back on, because this is a dark area, and her skin makes a nice contrast to that dark area. As before, I had her in floating face mode because the tips over here are very, very light. They're like almost the same color as her skin, so it makes it a little bit hard to see. I get the feeling that when the original artist drew this, that the hair was probably all like one color. And then she took the skin tone and painted over this area a little bit to get that color. That's a fairly common thing that I see Eastern artists do in order to make the bangs feel a little bit more transparent. Whether or not I use that technique varies somewhat, but with the way that I draw things, or at least the way I've been drawing things lately, I don't normally. Because at least lately, stylistically, I've been keeping things very, very simple. Trying to simplify my life with art. Make it so I can draw faster. Speed is one of my primary goals right now, which is why I've been very interested in speed painting. That in Inktober was fun, so I guess you could call it Inktober's fault, but no, the big reason that I was interested in doing such things was because I wanted to learn how to draw faster. And so that has been an interesting adventure. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. That's a good straight. Maybe a little bit more down here, but let's take a look here. Let's see if I have everything that I want. Ugh. Okay, need to clear my throat again. One moment. Phew, still have a little bit of a frog in my throat from swallowing my water wrong. I am always very surprised at how much just swallowing funny can mess up your throat. This is where I continue to be baffled about how the human body is constructed. The fact that we use the same kind of, like, set of organs for eating, breathing, and talking, as opposed to, like, different ones, is just very strange to me. Because that's why I had this problem. I was drinking some water and tried to breathe at the same time, and bad things happened. I wasn't even trying to talk. Didn't even use the third function of the mouth. But here we are. Biology is not always very smart. But, even if it's not smart, I do think that some of the solutions that it has come up with are pretty clever. Alright, so now the next little bit that I'm looking at is that I felt like let's actually hide her body too, that the width of the tip of this bang was getting a little bit too fat. So I'm just making it a little bit thinner. Let's get rid of the head shadows too. Just simplify everything. Oh, alright, that's not the head shadows, that's the back hair. Okay, well, we can get rid of that too. Okay. There we go, now everything should be highly visible. But yes, I felt like this strand here was getting a little bit too fat, so I wanted to make it a little bit thinner, while still keeping it fairly straight on the side here. And then I'm going to straighten out the triangles a little bit, because I think that this little strand here that I'm pulling on now was also a little bit short. Just doing everything I can to try to mimic what was there in the center here. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. Now we're like a little bit fat over there. Let's see here. I'm gonna consult the mesh here. Where is everything getting all thickened up here? Okay. I think I see. It's over here. This is where I saw the most movement in the vertices. So if I was able to notice that much movement here, it probably means that I should scooch it on over. Okay, that scooched it on over a little bit too much. But, idea is solid. Just gotta do it better now. Sometimes it just takes me a couple of tries to get it right. And I'm gonna try to space all the vertices a little bit more evenly. There we go. They're a little bit more even now, and then these ones just need to go over here. There's like a tiny little shadow running up here. And that's what made me say, oh, I pushed this too far to the side. Because I saw that this tiny little shadow was moving way too far. Still is, but the rest of it is okay. So I'll take it. That is improvement. It's not perfect yet, but it is better. And that's what's important. As long as I keep poking at it, and as long as it keeps getting better every time I poke at it, eventually I'll get it there. At some point I'm going to want to turn her chin back on too. Just because it'll give me a better idea of whether or not everything is moving the same amount. The chin is a really, really solid guideline. That tends to be why I start with the shape of the face. Because once I can see how the chin is moving, it means I have a pretty good idea of how everything else is going to be moving too. Oh man, why do there have to be so many tiny details in the hair here? I just look over and I'm just like, okay, the gradient here is a little bit off, and the shape right here is still a little bit off. And I'm still just... Oh yeah, it's floating face Shalom. Because I'm working on the bangs, and the tips of her bangs are like the same color as her face. So it's just easier to go into floating face mode for that. Well, anyway, hello again, Luminance. How are you doing today? Man, got so many people here today. It's great to have you all here. At the beginning of today, I noticed that in the downward head turn, I had her bangs a little bit too long, so I needed to go back and fix them. But unfortunately, they were bangs, and they always take me the longest to adjust, just because there's so much to them, so it's taken me a little while to fix it all up. Yes. And I mean, her face is still there. You can totally see where her head totally would be if it was on. I'll just continue letting her stare into your soul while I figure out what's going on with all these little details in her bangs. Oh man, there are a lot of them. There's so many. But I really want to get them right because it's right between her eyes, and that's just like the most important area of the model. So I like to get as many of the details in this area right as I can. Okay, but I think I'm getting real close to finally getting that left chunk. I'm just checking the gradient now, just from right here. Because part of me feels like there's something a little off about it, but I can't quite identify what's bothering me, so I'm just gonna stare at it for a second and see if it comes to me. Didn't see anything in the gradient just yet, but did see that the shadow needs to be angled slightly differently. That's probably not helping it look correct to me, so... Okay, I think that the gradient itself is doing fine. It was just a couple of the shadows around it. That was making me think something was wrong. So once I get those, it should all be well, in theory. Man, this corner. Every time I look at it, it's like... not quite right. I'll call it the contrarian corner. Seems to always find something wrong. Okay, but I think that's fine. I'll just go into the center portion here. And hopefully get all of these areas in the right place. Because there was definitely a little bit in this lighter area of the color transition and the color gradient of her hair. That wasn't lining up quite right here. Okay, but that's a bit better. And it's okay, when I adjusted everything at the beginning like this and was using the brush to push things around, I knew that this is where a lot of problems would arise. Just because there'd probably be a great deal of compression, since I was making the bangs a little bit shorter. So I knew that I was just going to have to work it all out. Spread things out a little bit. Let the vertices have their personal space. Since I was very rude and took it away from them. Especially considering how cramped this area is to begin with, since I drew so many dots. Really, it's no wonder that they're complaining. Okay. That's doing much better. And now, just to fix up this highlight, and probably a bunch of other stuff down here, but right now, this highlight. I pay pretty close attention to the stronger highlights and shadows, as well as just the outer shape. It just so happens that the bangs here have a lot of each of those. So there's a lot to pay attention to. Yesterday I had some fun with my weekly speed paint. I was feeling ambitious, so I went ahead and tried to draw a specific character instead of just whatever my hands flopped onto the canvas. And I think she's mostly recognizable. It's definitely a case where I think I could have done better if I had a little bit more time, but I don't think it looks too bad. So I will probably be drawing specific characters again in the future. Can definitely expect to see more fan art. And I gotta say, working with... I guess it's not quite hot pink, but it's not quite a pastel pink either. It was kind of interesting. It's been a while since I've done something that pink. It was so pink. I had to adjust the kind of pink several times because the other color I was using was white. And those two colors together can look similar enough when you're zoomed out that if you use the wrong one, everything is just gonna kind of start merging together and looking like a fruity swill. So that was interesting, and it was also fun putting up the speed paint video, because there are numerous occasions where I invert the colors in order to be able to see what I'm doing. It is something that I do often in my painting process. I did it with my drawing of Zero, too. Just because it makes it easier to see. It's basically the equivalent of floating face Shalom here, where I just hide something or invert the colors and all of that, just so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better and more accurately put together whatever it is that I'm working on. But it was just particularly funny here because it went from this white and pink to just black and green. And so suddenly you see in the speed paint that the character's face just suddenly turns solid black. And that amused me very much when I was watching it over and checking the footage to make sure nothing was exploding. I am just very, very easily amused by such things. Alright, I think this is just about done. Just noticed a small issue right over here with this dark shadow. It was just casually bouncing a little bit over to the left. Probably don't want that. And I've heard people wanting a little bit of bounce in their hair, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. Yeah. There we go. And hopefully once I fix where the kind of edge of the hair is down here, this little gap that I was poking at there, all will be well. Then I can turn her head back on. Actually, no, that's not true. I'm not going to turn her head back on because I'm going to go back and just do bangs on the lower left turn. Okay, there we go. Okay, no, one more thing. Very, very tip here. Want to pull it out this way. There we go. Looked like he was hiding behind his friend for a second there. It's like, we don't need him to do that. You need to be out in the open. Out in the open where he belongs. No need to be anxious, my little Vertex. Go and be free. Okay, like I said, normally this is where we'd exit floating face mode, but I'm going right into editing more bangs over here. Let me actually make sure that they're in the right place, so I'm gonna turn her head on for just a second here. Is this a good place for them? I need her head on just long enough to get the big picture down. Body can stay off, though. The biggest thing that I'm looking at when doing this part of the turn like this is I want to see when her head moves to the left. Does it look like the bangs kind of get a little bit curlier? Does it everything kind of get more floofed out on this side and that kind of thing? So far not quite there, but the gist is getting there. And then the second thing is are the various landmarks kind of in the same vertical position. So in this case, it'd be the tips of the bangs, this little thing right here, and that kind of thing. I want to make sure that all of those are kind of in roughly the same place here. So this way it looks like her head is turning. And part of my instinct was to make this kind of curve out a little bit more, but I still want her eye to be a little bit visible. So I think this is enough of a curve here. And I think it lines up fine with the top, or the left view here. So just like how I'm looking for things to kind of show themselves more on this side. When I go from top to bottom here, everything should be pushed down a little bit. We should see more of like this top part of her bang and that kind of thing. So up here should feel a little bit more prominent. And those are the kinds of things that I look for when I'm doing this. I think I'm actually going to hide the front strand there for a second while I get everything else into place here. Just going to let all this stuff show a little bit more. Going to make the top of her bang there just that much more visible. All very important. Okay. Moved it a little bit too much. That's kind of to be expected. This is just common in my process, and I think figuring out what to do about it will help me be a little bit faster, where I always like to exaggerate certain parts early on because it helps me see where certain parts should go. But I always have to tone them back considerably by the time I finish. And it's because if I had left them as they were, it's super exaggerated. One place in particular that this happens tends to be around the stomach, because I like to pay attention to where the back turns, or the stomach turns, and I tend to go really hard in that turn until I'm ready to pare it back a little bit. Alright, I actually think I will turn the body back on again. I'll leave the back hair off. And I think I'm just gonna go over all the hair here and get everything into roughly the right place before I start going into bang details. This time it's not even procrastinating on bang details, it's just gonna be hard to do bang details when I see every other bit of hair just squirming in my periphery. So I'm just gonna be very carefully adjusting the location of all this. I'm not gonna mind making it all wrinkly just yet. I just want everything to be roughly in the right place. So yesterday I did very rough adjustments with the mesh group, just to get the basics of where each piece of hair should go. And now I'm going in and doing the details, getting the very rough impression of where each of these parts should be going, where the details on the hair should be going, instead of kind of the big overall shape of the hair. Now, it's kind of the smaller shapes. And then the next step will be go in and get even smaller shapes. And that's just how this all goes. For some reason I have decided that I want to do the left side first, even though normally I do the right side first, but it's fine. I have to get it all, and I guess I see more problems with the left side than I do the right side. So I'm just gonna go in and worry about that, I guess. It's fine. Yeah, everything is still pretty off. I still definitely will have a lot to fix up, but it's definitely a start there. Things aren't squirming quite as hard. Now let's see. I think I can afford to make this outer part a bit more floofy. So I did notice that when her head was turning from the left to down, that this area was kind of flattening out. And we gotta keep her hair nice and puffy. I mean, just look how floofy that hair is. There's so much of it. Want to keep that same kind of feel throughout the entire thing. But as usual, the hair over her shoulder actually still looks pretty okay. I'm always amazed at how well the interpolation does with that. It's like, man, I wish it would do that well against the rest of it. Because if it all looked that good, the corners wouldn't have taken me nearly as long as they have been. Okay, I was looking at some stuff around the bank here, but I think that's stuff I'm just gonna have to fix up when the time comes. I think in terms of length and its general location, it's all fine. Figuring out what things to fix when I'm doing big picture stuff and which things to fix later is, well, it's always an important decision. I don't want to get too caught up on a bunch of stuff when I'm just trying to figure out the general lay of the land here. And as always, I'm not concerning myself with the just small details like this area just kind of splitting in half and stuff like that. I'm not worrying about that yet. Right now we're doing big things. Just the big picture. Saying it because I have to remind my brain not to be freaking out over every little thing. Because otherwise it will. It'll be like, oh yes, we should fix that. And I'm like, later. We fix it later. Right now, I just want to get everything into place. Like, man, that little tunnel there. It's just getting completely covered here. Normally it's just very prominent on that, and then here it's just like totally gone. I think that's correct though. It's just funny how it works out. Honestly, I always think that this point is one of the more fun points. Because this is just when I kind of get to derp around and figure out how I want things to go. I don't have to get caught up on details. I'm not going to spend, 45 minutes just looking at very small things in front banks. Here, I just kind of get to do a bunch of stuff, and everything is moving around. Everything is moving, everything is changing. So many things are happening. And it's a good time. Everything is happening so fast, and everything is so exciting. And I just get to look at that thing over there, and I'm just like, oh, I should move that, like, over here. And I can, and it's all very easy. And then everything gets so much harder when it's time to jump into the details and finally make everything look good. But here I get to do whatever I want. Just throw some things down and it'll be fine. Just kind of get to follow whatever my brain sees and let it do what it wants. Today, it gets to have a good time. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised by how just generally okay the right side is looking here. Interpolation got a lot of that right. Thank you, Interpolation, for making my life a little bit easier. Debating on how I want to handle this strand right here. The bottom seems mostly fine. I'm just wondering about the top. various shenanigans about it aside, I think the only real problem here is just that I want this shadow to be a little bit lower. But I think in terms of shape and everything else, this is actually okay. I just had to think about it for a second. Alright, definitely a lot of stuff to fix, but I think that's okay for a first pass. It's starting to kind of take the shape that it needs to. And I don't see any super outstanding weirdness when I go from the middle to the corner. Like, I mean, it doesn't look right, obviously, but it's not quite the same as from this side, where I have not done anything yet. Yeah, so I think everything is probably roughly in the right place. Let's adjust the top bang just a little bit here. But otherwise, yeah, I think this will be a good place to dig into tomorrow. Still got a little bit more time, but I'm not sure if I want to dig into the front bangs yet, so let's do some big picture stuff on the right too. Let's see. How do I want this hair to be on this side? Well, with the way her chin is, it's like this side will be a little bit lower. And this side will be a little bit higher. But otherwise, let's see. Am I satisfied with how, at least to start? Do I need to make any major adjustments here? I think I will push these bottom parts in just a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. I think I can even stand to do it a little bit more right around here. Just a little bit. Don't want to overdo it. Might be something that I have to fix just on individual layers here. Yeah, seems okay to me. So, let's do some more big picture stuff. Everything coming to the right this time. I like to push her bangs a little bit further to the right. And curve things that way. Oh yeah, there we go. Just because of the way her bangs are curved, I find doing the left with them a little bit easier than the right. But I think this looks okay. Maybe not that much. So, with here, it's going to be pretty much the opposite of what I was talking about on the left side. Where now the bangs are going to be covering this spot under here. So, it goes from, you can kind of see it right there. Now it's going to be completely covered. It's even covering a little bit more of this spot here. But you still see a lot more of this spot here because it's just showing more. We just see a little bit more of it because it's the right side. I feel like the interpolation was just a lot better on this side. There's still definitely some shenanigans, especially with this up here. But that seems to be where the worst of it is. A lot of the rest looks pretty okay, you know, just random holes that I see aside. There's one right there, you can see her head right through her hair. That'll definitely be something I need to fix later. But that's for later. Man, that's a weird shape. It's just like, look closely at this here. It's like I went back and actually undid all the stuff that I changed on that, but man, no, it just looks weird from right here. It's like, look at that. That's definitely not right. Okay, let's put it all back. Because it looked fine this way, and if it's already broken from that way, that just means that there's some stuff I gotta fix here. Yeah, it looks okay from here, so I just need to fix that up over in the corner here. Ooh, how am I gonna do that? That might be something that future me deals with. We'll see if present me feels like dealing with it, but so far so good, I guess. Okay, yeah, that actually wasn't too bad. Still, we'll have a lot to clean up when the time comes, but that's a good start. And that's really all that I'm doing right now, just kind of getting things started. Getting the big points in. That's probably good enough for now. Yeah, honestly, for all of it, I think that's good enough for now. So when the time comes, I'll just be able to dive right into cleaning that up too. So that's nice. Kind of how the timing worked out today, since I had a lot of bang corrections to do. But yeah, so far so good. I think this, just letting her shake her head back and forth here actually looks okay. Let's let her nod a little bit too. Yeah, so far so good. I might want to do a few more adjustments based on her chin. Like, do I want to push these bangs in a little bit more, or something like that? That's something to consider. But I think that's all I will do for today. I think this is a pretty good starting point, and I can think of all the other things that I might want to be a little bit different, since I am having her kind of tuck her chin in, as opposed to just, I don't know, moving her head straight downward. Alright, so I think I will stop there for today. Oh, thank you all for coming. If you'd like me to take a look at your own creative projects, whether that be art, writing, coding, game design, or any creative pursuit you can think of, feel free to message or add me on the social media platform of your choice, and I'll take a look, maybe leave some comments. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.